At 15, my abusive dad demanded a DNA test saying he'd kick me out if I wasn't his, then proceeded to hit me when I told him he should do the same to my golden brother, so I made him pay for everything. Sup, Reddit. Never thought I'd be posting here, but I really need to get this off my chest. My dad has hit me for years, while treating my older brother like he could do no wrong. The night everything blew up, he demanded a DNA test so he could kick me out of the house if I wasn't his. And that's when I decided to put an end to this. I, 23 male, grew up in a house where every day felt like walking through a minefield, except the mines are your own father's mood swings and your older brother's smug face. That was my life for 15 years. Dad worked at a manufacturing plant, came home angry most nights. Before the plant, he'd worked for my grandpa's plumbing company. That blew up after some fight he never talked about, and Grandpa sold the business to his partner instead of leaving it to him. You could tell within 30 seconds whether it was going to be a screaming night or a hitting night. Sometimes both. My brother Justin was 3 years older, built like Dad, looked like Dad, acted like Dad. Golden Child doesn't even begin to cover it. This dude could mess up a simple task, and Dad would spin it positive. I could ace a test and get lectured about not helping enough around the house. Dad ran everything like a dictatorship. Mom couldn't buy groceries without showing receipts. Justin and I got allowances, except his was triple mine because he was more responsible. The responsible one who crashed Dad's truck twice. Mom was the enabler type, not protective. More like the kind who'd watch Dad scream in your face and later tell you not to make him angry. She loved the lifestyle Dad provided. As long as those bills got paid, she didn't care what Dad did to manage his stress. And his favorite stress ball was me. The hitting started when I was 8. Nothing that left visible marks at first. A shove, a smack, grabbing my arm hard enough to bruise. By 12, it escalated. Bad grades? Slap. Forgot a chore? Shove into a wall. Justin thought it was hilarious. He'd instigate things just to watch me get blamed, like the time he broke Mom's expensive vase and convinced Dad it was me. I was 14. Dad backhanded me so hard I saw stars, then made me pay for the replacement out of my allowance. Took me 6 months. School was my only escape. Swim team, debate club, volunteer work. Anything to delay going home. My grades were solid because education was my ticket out. The summer I turned 15, I started working at a hardware store. Saved every penny in a bank account Dad didn't know about. My friend's older brother helped me set it up. Told me to keep the statements at his place. That's when everything went nuclear. It was a Tuesday night in October. Justin had just gotten fired from his 3rd job that year, and Dad was in a foul mood. I'd stayed late for a debate tournament and came home around 7 to find Dad and Mom already arguing about bills. Justin was in the living room pretending to look at job listings, but really just scrolling social media. "You're irresponsible," Dad was saying. "I work 60 hours a week, and your son can't hold down a part-time job at a gas station." "He's your son, too," Mom shot back. I walked past them, dropped my backpack. Justin looked up and smirked. "Well, well, the overachiever returns. How was Nerd Club? Debate team? It was fine. Right. Very impressive. Really setting yourself up for success there." I headed for the stairs. "Hey, I'm talking to you." Justin stood up. "You know what your problem is? You think you're better than everyone. Mr. Perfect with his grades? Meanwhile, you're still a loser. At least I can hold down a job." His face darkened. "Watch your mouth." "Or what? You gonna tell Dad? I'm sure he'd love to hear how you got fired for showing up intoxicated." Again. That's when Dad stormed in. "What's going on?" Justin didn't miss a beat. "Just telling our little loser here that he should be more grateful. You work your butt off and he acts like he's too good for us." "I don't act like anything," I said. "He thinks he's special," Justin continued. "Thinks because he gets good grades he's gonna be somebody." "At least I'll have a job," I shot back. "You little—" Justin stepped toward me. "That's enough," Dad said, looking at me. "You think you're better than your brother?" "I think I show up and do what I'm supposed to do." "And what's that supposed to mean?" "It means I'm not the one who got fired today." Justin's face went red. "You know what? Screw this. At least I don't act like I'm God's gift to the family. Neither do I. I just do my job." "Your job?" Dad's voice had that edge now, the one that meant things were about to get bad. "Your job is to respect this family. Respect me and your brother. And you can't even do that. I respect people who earn it." The second those words left my mouth, I knew I'd crossed a line. Dad's face went from red to purple in about half a second. "You little punk," he said quietly. 15 years I've put up with your attitude. 15 years of you acting like you're better than everyone in this house. Maybe if you treated me like an actual son instead of a punching bag, I never laid a hand on you that you didn't deserve. Yeah? What did I do to deserve it when I was 8? Dad stepped closer. You had a mouth on you then, too. I asked why you were always so angry. That's what got me hit. Mom appeared in the doorway. Everyone needs to calm down. Stay out of this, Dad snapped, not even looking at her. He was focused entirely on me now, eyes narrowed. You know what the problem is? You've never felt like mine. Not once. Not in 15 years. The room went quiet. What's that supposed to mean? I asked. Dad didn't answer me. He turned to Mom instead. How the heck did we end up with this kid? Mom's face went pale. What kind of question is that? A legitimate one, because I've been thinking about it for years. Justin is exactly like me. Same looks, same everything. But this one? He gestured at me like I was a stray dog someone had dumped on his porch. This one is nothing like me. Kids can be different, Mom started. Different is one thing. This is something else. Dad's voice was rising now. I look at Justin and I see myself. I look at him and I don't know what I see, but it's not me. Justin was watching this with barely concealed excitement. Dad's got a point. You really don't look like either of them. Shut up, Justin, I said. No, let him talk, Dad said. Because your brother is right. You're an anomaly. Always have been. Mom's hands were shaking. This is ridiculous. He's your son. Is he? Dad turned on her, and I watched her flinch. Because I'm starting to wonder. I'm starting to wonder if this kid could ever be mine. The accusation hung in the air like smoke. How dare you? Mom whispered. How dare I? How dare I? Dad was yelling now, right in her face. I've spent 15 years raising a kid who doesn't act like me, doesn't look like me, doesn't respect me. And you want me to just accept that's normal? He's your son. Then why doesn't it feel like it? Dad's voice cracked. Every single day I look at him and something's wrong. Something doesn't fit. And you know it too, don't you? Mom's face had gone from pale to white. I'm not having this conversation. We're having it right now. This kid could never be mine. Not the way he is. Not the way he's always been. Dad stood up so fast his chair scraped against the floor. That vein in his forehead was throbbing. You know the one. The I'm about to lose it vein. That's it, he said, voice cold as ice. We're doing a DNA test. The room went dead silent. Even Justin stopped smirking. What? Mom's voice came out as a whisper. You heard me. If this kid isn't mine, I'm kicking both of you out. You and him. Gone. Tonight. I felt something snap inside me. Years of his nonsense, his control, his threats. And now this. The nuclear option. Fine. Let's go nuclear. Do it, I said. My voice was steady. Calm. But here's the deal. You test Justin too. The color drained from Justin's face. Dad froze mid-step. What did you just say? You heard me. If you're testing me, you test him too. Fair is fair, right? Or are you scared of what you'll find out? You little punk. Dad lunged forward, hand already rising. The slap came fast. Open palm, right across my face. The sound echoed in the room like a gunshot. My head snapped to the side, cheek instantly burning. I could taste blood where I'd bit my tongue. Don't you ever... Dad started. I pushed him, hard, both hands on his chest, caught him off guard. He stumbled back a step, eyes going wide with shock and rage. I'm done, I said. My voice didn't shake, didn't waver. You want to hit me? That's assault. Congratulations, old man. Hope it was worth it. I could already feel my cheek swelling. Probably gonna bruise. Good. Evidence. You put your hands on me? Dad moved forward again. And there's witnesses, I cut him off. Mom saw it. Justin saw it. You slapped me in the face hard enough to leave a mark. But sure, come at me again. Give me more to work with. Dad's face was purple now, hands clenched into fists. For a second, I thought he was actually going to do it. Throw a real punch this time. Get out, he said through gritted teeth. Get out of my house. Gladly. I grabbed my backpack from the floor. But we're still doing those tests, both of us. And when the results come back, you're gonna look real stupid. When yours comes back negative, when Justin's comes back negative, I said, I want you to remember this moment. Remember that you hit me over a question. Remember that you were so sure. And remember that you were wrong. Mine won't come back negative, Justin said, but his voice cracked. Then you've got nothing to worry about, golden boy. Get out, Dad roared. I walked to the door. Didn't run. Didn't hurry. Just walked like I had all the time in the world. Where are you going? Mom finally found her voice. She looked scared. Good. She should be. Away from here. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't pretend you care now. You can't just leave. Watch me. I stepped outside into the October night. The cold air hit my burning cheek like a slap of its own. Behind me, I could hear Dad screaming at Mom, Justin yelling something about how this was my fault. The usual symphony of dysfunction. I walked 6 blocks to Matt's house, my face throbbing with every step. By the time I got there, I could barely see out of my left eye. It was swelling that bad. Matt's parents took one look at me and went from concerned to angry in about 2 seconds flat. His mom got ice. His dad started talking about police reports and lawyers. I told them everything. The years of control. The physical stuff. Tonight's slap in front of witnesses. The DNA test threats. All of it. "You're staying here," Matt's mom said. Not a question. A statement. "Thanks," I said. The ice felt good against my face. That night, lying on Matt's couch with a bag of frozen peas on my cheek, I made the call. Child Services answered on the third ring. I gave them everything. Dates, incidents, tonight's assault, witnesses, the whole history. "We'll send someone for a home visit within 48 hours, the woman said. "And given the physical injury you're describing, we're going to expedite this." "Good," I said. I hung up and stared at the ceiling. My face hurt like crazy, but for the first time in years, I felt free, like I'd finally fought back, finally said no, finally walked away from the people who were supposed to love me, but only knew how to destroy. Whatever happened with those DNA tests, whatever Child Services found, whatever came next, I'd already won, because I got out, and I wasn't going back. 3 days later, Dad showed up at Matt's house. It was evening, and I was upstairs doing homework when I heard raised voices. Came down to find Dad on the front porch, clearly intoxicated, demanding to see me. "He's not going anywhere with you," Steve, Matt's dad, was saying. "That's my son. You can't keep him from me." "Your son who you threatened to throw out? That son? This is none of your business." "You're intoxicated on my porch making threats. It's my business now." I came to the door. "What do you want?" Dad's eyes focused on me. "You need to come home. We need to talk about this DNA thing." "We already talked. You test both of us or nothing. Justin doesn't need to be tested. Then neither do I." "You little punk." Dad stepped forward. Steve blocked him. "That's enough," Steve said. "You need to leave. Make me." Steve pulled out his phone. "I'm calling the police. You have 10 seconds. Dad looked at me. "When that test proves you're not mine, you're gonna regret this." "Cool, can't wait." He stood there for another few seconds, swaying, then turned and stumbled back to his car. We watched him drive away. "You okay?" Steve asked. "Yeah, thanks." He comes back. "We're calling the cops." No discussion. A week later, Dad came back. Sober this time, but just as aggressive. Started pounding on the door at 8 p.m., yelling my name. Steve called the police immediately. The cops showed up in maybe 5 minutes. Found Dad on the lawn, screaming about his rights as a father. I came outside with Steve, showed the officers the bruises on my arms from the confrontation 2 weeks ago. The marks were fading, but still visible. "Did he do this?" one cop asked. "Yeah, couple weeks ago. Slammed me against a wall." Dad's face went white. "That's not... He's lying." "There's also a child services case being opened," Steve added. "This kid's been abused for years." The cops looked at Dad, then at me, then back at Dad. "Sir, we're going to need you to come with us." "For what? Disciplining my kid?" "For assault. Let's go." They arrested him right there. Cuffed him, read him his rights, put him in the cruiser. Dad was screaming about how this was nonsense, how I wasn't even his real son. Mom pulled up just as they were driving Dad away. She jumped out, frantic. "What happened? Where are they taking him?" "Jail," I said, "for hitting me." Her face went from worried to angry. "You called the police on your own father? He's been hitting me for years. Do you know what this will do to him? To his job? To this family? Not my problem anymore." She turned to Steve. "You let him do this?" "I helped him do it. Your husband showed up intoxicated making threats, then came back sober and got himself arrested. That's on him." Mom looked at me like I destroyed her life. "You're going to fix this. You're going to tell them it was a misunderstanding." "No, I'm not. He's your father. He's an abuser. And you watched it happen for years." She didn't have an answer. Just got back in her car and drove off. The caseworker showed up the next day. She'd heard about the arrest and wanted my statement. I told her everything. "This actually helps document the case," she said. "Physical evidence, police involvement, witnesses. We're going to need a few more weeks to complete our investigation and arrange a court hearing, but this gives us a solid foundation. What happens now? Your father will be processed and charged. He'll probably make bail, but we'll be requesting a temporary restraining order to keep him away from you while we work through the system. That'll require a court date in about 2 weeks. You'll need to give a sworn statement. If granted, we'll make it permanent after a full hearing. Dad made bail 3 days later. Cost $15,000. 2 days after that, the caseworker suggested I check all my accounts. Bank statements, anything with my name on it. Financial abuse is common in these cases, she said. We need to document everything. That's when I found it. Logged into the custodial savings account Grandpa had set up for me, the one Mom managed as custodian until I turned 18. Balance showed $147.83. Should have been over 12 grand. I pulled up the transaction history. One withdrawal. October 18th, $12,000. Memo line, bail. Mom had cleaned out my entire college fund and borrowed the rest to bail him out. Steve helped me file a report about the college fund. Since she was the custodian, it was technically legal, but because it clearly wasn't for my benefit, the caseworker flagged it for civil restitution down the line. Dad came home bitter and paranoid. Started calling me from different numbers, leaving voicemails about how I'd ruined everything, how his coworkers knew about the arrest, how he was probably going to lose his job. That kid's not even mine, he ranted in one message. After the DNA test, everyone's gonna see. I saved all the voicemails, sent copies to the caseworker. 2 weeks later came the court date. Steve drove me. I gave my sworn statement about the abuse, the threats, the October confrontation. The judge granted a temporary restraining order. Dad had to stay at least 500 feet away from me. Another hearing was scheduled for 6 weeks out to make it permanent. The testing had happened during all this chaos. Dad had scheduled it fast, probably hoping the results would justify everything. Justin dragged his feet but eventually agreed. I went to the clinic with Steve and Kathy, got my cheek swabbed, and then waited. The lab said results would take about 2 weeks. A month after the arrest, Dad sent me a text from Mom's phone. DNA results came back. Family meeting, tomorrow, 6 p.m. I showed it to the caseworker. She said I didn't have to go, but if I did, I should have someone with me. Steve volunteered. Based on Dad's message, something told me this meeting was about to get very interesting. We showed up. The house looked the same, but the vibe was completely different. Like someone had died. Dad opened the door. He looked rough, unshaved, eyes bloodshot, shirt wrinkled. You brought a witness? Insurance policy, I said. This is Steve. He's staying. We went inside. Mom was on the couch looking like she'd been crying for days. When she saw me, her expression hardened. This is your fault, she said. All of it. The bail money you stole from my college fund? Her face flushed. That was family money. That was Grandpa's money. For me. And you used it to bail out the guy who got arrested for hitting me. Justin was in the recliner, arms crossed, looking like he wanted to be anywhere else. Can we just get this over with? Dad sat down heavily. I got the results. Yeah, me too. You're mine. Didn't wish for that. And Justin isn't. Justin flinched. Mom made a choking sound. Cool, I said. So now what? Dad just stared at me. What do you mean? I mean, you spent weeks ready to kick me out because you thought I wasn't yours. You got arrested for hitting me, Mom bailed you out with my college money, and all of you acted like I was the problem. Now you know the truth. So what's the plan? We're a family, Mom said through tears. We need to work through this. I laughed. Couldn't help it. You stole 12 grand from my college fund to bail out my abuser. You literally paid money to free the guy who got arrested for hitting your son. And now you want to play happy family? I was trying to save our family. You were trying to save your marriage. Big difference. Justin stood up. This is nonsense. I don't care what some stupid test says. I'm his son. I grew up here. Funny how that works, I said. When you thought I wasn't his son, you called me names. Said I'd be homeless. Now the shoe's on the other foot, and suddenly it's about family. I didn't mean it. Yeah, you did. Dad cut in. We need to figure this out. No, I said. You need to figure it out. I've got a place to stay, a job, school's going fine. I don't need this drama. You're 15, Dad said. You can't just... I can't what? I've got child services documentation, police reports, DNA results proving I'm your biological kid, evidence you used my college money for bail. You really want to push this? The room went quiet. Here's the deal, I continued. I'm staying at Steve's. The caseworker's monitoring everything. There's a restraining order keeping you away from me. If you violate it, you go back to jail. If you try to force me back, I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of father you really are. You're bluffing, Dad said, but his voice wavered. Try me. Steve spoke up. The boy's welcome to stay with us as long as he needs. Dad looked at Steve, then back at me. You could see him doing the math. He was already dealing with assault charges. Child Services was investigating. His coworkers knew about the arrest. The whole neighborhood had watched him get cuffed. And now everyone would know he'd been abusing his only biological son while raising another man's kid like royalty. Fine, Dad said finally. Stay where you want. I stood to leave. Justin stayed in his chair, looking like someone had pulled his plug. Mom was still crying. Dad just looked defeated. At the door, I turned back. Oh, one more thing. Mom, who's Justin's real dad? Her face went white. It doesn't matter. But he was some guy I knew from work. It was a mistake. What was his name? She hesitated. Victor. He died in a car accident 9 years ago. Justin looked like he'd been punched. You knew this whole time? I suspected, but I wasn't sure until now. Good grief, Justin muttered. And you spent all that money bailing him out? Money that wasn't even yours? I was trying to keep this family together. By stealing from him? The one kid who actually is Dad's son? Don't you dare judge me. Why not? You judged him for 15 years. I'd never seen Justin stand up to Mom before. It was almost satisfying. Dad finally spoke, his voice cold. Get out, both of you. Both? Justin said. I live here. Not anymore. You're not my kid. You're some dead guy's kid. I'm not paying your way anymore. The room went nuclear quiet. Where am I supposed to go? Justin asked. Figure it out. You're 18. Not my problem. Mom stood up. You can't just throw him out. Watch me. I spent 18 years raising another man's kid while my actual son got treated like garbage. I'm done. If he goes, I go, Mom said. Fine, both of you. Out. I left them to their family apocalypse. Steve drove me back to his house. We didn't talk much. That night, Mom called me 14 times. I didn't answer. She left voicemails about how I destroyed the family, how everything was my fault. Dad didn't contact me at all, which was somehow better. I slept better that night than I had in years. The next few months were a masterclass in consequences. Dad filed for divorce within 2 weeks. His lawyer went scorched earth. The divorce proceedings were brutal. They fought over everything: the house, savings, pension, furniture. Dad's attorney weaponized Mom's affair, the bail money theft, and 15 years of enabling abuse. Every police report, every child services visit, every bruise I'd documented, all of it came out in court. Mom hired her own attorney, tried arguing she deserved half of everything plus alimony, played the abused wife card, talked about suffering through a difficult marriage. After the reports came out, Mom stopped looking like a victim and started looking like someone who watched it happen. The judge wasn't sympathetic. Mom lost the house, lost most of the savings. She got reduced alimony for 3 years, and the judge ordered a restitution plan for my college fund, wage garnishment, offset against what she got in the settlement. She'd be paying me back in slow, humiliating installments. The restraining order against Dad stayed in place. Dad pleaded out to a misdemeanor domestic violence charge. Got a year of probation, fines, and mandatory intervention classes. The conviction sat on his record permanently. Every background check, every job application, every apartment rental, it would be there, reminding him what he'd done. Justin got caught in the crossfire. Dad wanted nothing to do with him. Didn't matter that Justin had been his favorite for 18 years. The moment those DNA results came back, Justin became invisible. Mom tried bonding with Justin over shared victimhood, but Justin was smart enough to see she'd messed up too. He moved into a cheap apartment across town, started working warehouse jobs, barely scraping by. All those years being the golden child, zero life skills to show for it. First eviction came 6 months later, then another, then another. The pattern repeated. I heard through town gossip he'd developed a drinking problem. Not surprising. When your entire identity is built on being Dad's favorite, and that gets ripped away overnight, you've got to fill the hole with something. Mom moved into a small apartment on the bad side of town, lost most of her assets in the divorce, started telling everyone she'd survived an abusive marriage, left out the parts about watching me get beaten and stealing my college fund. Her story played well with people who didn't know better. I went to school, worked at the hardware store, saved money. The caseworker checked in monthly for a while, made sure I was stable. Eventually, those calls stopped too. Steve and Kathy never asked for rent, never made me feel like a burden. Steve helped me think about college, about what I wanted long term. Kathy taught me how to actually cook, do laundry properly, manage a budget. Basic life skills Mom never bothered with. Steve helped me get my driver's license, taught me basic car maintenance. I bought a cheap used sedan from a coworker for $800. Piece of junk, but it ran. More importantly, it was mine. School got better. I joined the swim team, made actual friends, Started feeling like a normal teenager. My grades stayed solid. I felt lighter, like I'd been holding my breath underwater for 15 years and finally surfaced. When I turned 17, Steve mentioned his friend owned a plumbing company and was looking for an apprentice. Said it paid decent and I could learn a real trade. I remembered Grandpa's plumbing business, the one Dad worked for but never owned. Grandpa had sold it to his business partner before he died, specifically structured so Dad couldn't inherit it. The irony wasn't lost on me. I took the apprenticeship. Turned out I was good at it. The physical labor felt satisfying, and I liked solving problems. Plus, it paid way better than the hardware store. Started at $18 an hour. Picked up overtime whenever I could. Steve's friend told me stories about working with Grandpa, how he'd built something solid from nothing, how he'd always said the key to success was never letting other people control your future. One afternoon, the business owner and I were finishing up a residential job. Big old house, complete repipe, 3 days of work that left you sore. Your grandfather didn't trust your dad with this place, he said, out of nowhere. I stopped what I was doing. What? The business. Your grandpa knew your dad would run it into the ground. That's why he sold it to me instead of leaving it to family. He told you that? Not in those exact words, but yeah, that was the message. He used to ask me about you, if you were okay. I told him I didn't know because I never saw you. He wasn't happy about that. Why didn't he do anything? The owner packed up his tools, took his time answering. I think he tried in his own way. He told me if anything happened to him, I should make sure you got a chance when you were old enough. That's why I offered you this apprenticeship. This was supposed to be yours eventually, just not through your dad. I let that sink in. My grandfather had built something meant for me. He'd just made sure my father couldn't touch it first. That's when I stopped thinking about survival and started thinking about legacy. Between 17 and 23, I worked my butt off. Full-time plumbing during the day. Online business courses at community college at night. Every penny I made went straight into savings. Steve and Kathy still let me stay rent-free, which meant I could stockpile cash faster than most people my age. The business owner taught me everything about running a plumbing business. How to bid jobs, manage clients, handle difficult customers. I took on more responsibility, led smaller jobs myself, learned to think 3 steps ahead. Not everything went smooth. Had a commercial job go sideways when I was 19. Miscalculated materials. Had to eat $2,000 in losses to make it right. Another time we had a slow winter where work dried up for 6 weeks, and I barely had enough saved to help cover basic expenses. Those failures taught me more than the successes ever did. Justin texted every few months begging for money. Mom sent guilt trips. Dad sent demands. I blocked all of them. By the time I turned 20, I had $22,000 saved. Steve helped me set up a proper business plan. We projected costs, revenue, growth potential. The math worked. It was tight, but it worked. I turned 21 and got my plumbing license. The owner offered to make me a junior partner, but I had different plans. Told him I wanted to start my own company eventually. Didn't want to compete with him. He understood. Your grandfather would be proud of you, kid. Started dating Katie around then. She came from a normal family. First dinner at her place, I kept waiting for someone to yell. Nobody did. Unsettling. When I turned 22, the owner dropped the news. He was retiring. Wanted to sell the business. Offered me a fair deal. I could buy his client list, van, and equipment, merge it with the small operation I'd been building on the side. It would make me one of the bigger plumbing companies in the area. I bought it, used most of my savings, $38,000, and took out a small business loan for the rest. At 22, I was running a legitimate operation. Not some massive empire, but solid. Employees making decent wages, clients who trusted me, a reputation I'd built myself. Steve and Kathy were proud, said I'd built something real. That's when I moved out, got my own apartment. Small, nothing fancy, but it was mine. By 23, my company was pulling in solid money. Not 6 figures yet, but close. I bought a small house. Nothing huge, a starter place in a cheaper area with a mortgage I could actually afford. But it was mine. Life was stable. Katie and I were talking about getting engaged. Work was busy, but manageable. I had employees who respected me, clients who called me first when something broke. Everything my father said I'd never achieve, I'd done on my own terms. Then Dad showed up. I was reviewing invoices when my helper knocked on the office door. Some older guy here to see you. Says he's your father. I almost told him to send Dad away. Curiosity got the better of me. Let him in. Dad walked in looking rough. Gray hair, wrinkles, thinner than I remembered. He'd aged badly since the divorce. His eyes swept the office. Employee photos on the wall, business license framed, my company truck visible through the window. Nice place, he said, voice tight. Thanks. You've done well for yourself. I worked for it. He sat down across from my desk without being invited. Classic dad move. I wanted to talk to you, he said. About everything. Okay. I made mistakes. A lot of mistakes. I was a bad father. I know that now. Good for you. I'm trying to apologize here. I didn't ask for an apology. He looked frustrated. What do you want from me then? Nothing. I don't want anything from you. I'm your father. Biologically, sure. But that's about it. You spent 15 years treating me like garbage. Hit me, insulted me, threatened to kick me out, got arrested for it. The only reason you care now is because Justin turned out not to be yours. That's not true. Yes, it is. If those results had been reversed, I'd be homeless, and you'd still be treating Justin like a prince. Dad's face reddened, old anger surfacing. I provided for you. Roof over your head, food, clothes. That's the legal minimum. You want a medal for not committing criminal neglect? I'm here trying to make amends. You're here because your life sucks, and you think I owe you something, which I don't. Silence stretched between us. My record makes everything hard, Dad said finally. Can't get decent work. Can't rent anywhere good. I need $5,000, just to get back on my feet. Or you could co-sign an apartment lease? I leaned back in my chair, let the moment breathe, watched hope flicker across his face. No, the hope died. I'm asking for one chance. And I'm saying no. You had 18 years to be a father. You chose violence instead. That's on you. You're going to regret this. No, I'm not. You're going to regret it. You abused your only biological son and raised another man's kid like royalty. Mom stole from me to save you. Now you're broke, she's broke, and I'm the only one who came out ahead. That's not my fault. That's yours. When you have kids someday, I'll understand not to hit them. I'll understand not to play favorites. You taught me exactly what not to do. Dad looked like he wanted to say more. He didn't. Just stood up and walked out. About an hour later, Mom called. I let it go to voicemail. She left a long message about how I was abandoning my family, how I was cruel and heartless, how she'd sacrificed everything for me. Deleted it. That evening, Steve came by my house. He'd heard about Dad's visit. Small community, word travels. You okay? Steve asked over beers on my back porch. Yeah, I'm good. No guilt? None. Is that bad? No, you set boundaries. That's healthy. We sat in comfortable silence. 3 days later, Justin showed up at my office. I was finishing paperwork when my helper knocked. Your brother's here. Justin walked in looking worse than Dad had. Thinner, older, desperate. His hands were shaking. I need $15,000, he said without sitting down. For what? Bail. I got into a fight last week. Guys pressing charges, assault and battery. If I can't post bail before my arraignment, I'm going to jail. Real jail, not just county. That sucks. I'm serious. I've got a court date in 2 days. If I can't pay, I'm in trouble. Sounds like you made some bad choices. I was drinking. He was talking trash. It just happened. And now you want me to fix it. You're the only person I can ask. Dad won't help. Mom's broke. I've got nobody else. I leaned back in my chair, looked at him. Really looked at him. This was the golden child who'd gotten everything handed to him. Now he was standing in my office, begging. No, I said. Come on, man. I said no. I'll pay you back. I swear I'll... You won't. Because you've never paid for anything in your life. And I'm not starting your tab now. His face went red. We're brothers. We're half-brothers at best. And you never treated me like family when it mattered. Why should I start now? Because I'm asking for help. You mean you're begging? There's a difference. You're really going to let me go to jail? You're going to jail because you got intoxicated and beat someone up. That's on you, not me. He stood there, breathing hard, looking like he wanted to punch me. Then his shoulders sagged. You're just like Dad, he said quietly. Cold, vindictive. Maybe. Difference is, I earned my cold. You made me this way. He left without another word. 2 days later, I heard through town gossip he couldn't make bail. Court sent him straight to county jail to await trial. Mom sent emails. More voicemails. She tried every angle. Guilt, family obligation. What would Grandpa think? I blocked her number. My company kept growing. Landed a solid commercial contract. Hired another employee. Started planning modest expansion. Life kept getting better. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.